Could Rafael Nadal actually end up missing the 2023 French Open? Would be a thought almost unthinkable considering just how synonymous Nadal is with Roland Garros and the fact that despite whatever injury struggles he's had over the years, he's always ensured that he has been fit for the French Open. Unfortunately though, what has happened now is that, well, Father Time truly waits for no one, and Nadal's recent struggles with injuries, especially through the 2022 season where there were times that he was actually having to take painkillers on a regular basis in order to continue playing, seems to have finally caught up with him. And truth be told, there is a rather worrying trend or worrying sign that is pretty much showing that, well, he may very well not be a part of his first Roland Garros for what would be well over a decade at this point. But what are those signs, and actually how bad would it be if Nadal wasn't a part of the French Open? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. First off, it is worth noting that Nadal has been on the shelf with a hip injury ever since, well, January really, because he did play the Australian Open. He was fit during that time, but when he was knocked out by Mackenzie McDonald, he was clearly struggling with an injury throughout that match. He was unable to even complete the match properly. And well, what happened was that he completed the match, was in considerable pain, and then it was pretty evident that he wouldn't be able to actually play because the hip injury was going to take some rehab. But there was hope that he would in fact be fit by the time the French Open build-up period reached. Unfortunately, his rehab has taken so much longer than expected, and what that has led to is him pulling out of multiple events one by one. So he's not ruled himself out of, say, a number of tournaments to begin with. He has one by one been ruling himself out of tournaments, and that list continues to grow longer. In fact, here's a list of all the events that he's missed since the Australian Open because he's been rehabbing that injury and that there have been complications when it comes down to how quickly or slowly it is he's recovering. So to start off, obviously, you had the Indian Wells Open and the Miami Open, both hardcourt ATP Masters events that he ended up missing out on. And that kind of made sense because it was just right after the Australian Open. You knew he'd take some time to rehab, but you were expecting that he would be back for the build-up to the clay court season. Now, that is when things really started getting murky because Monte Carlo, he ended up pulling out of, and Monte Carlo is also a pretty big event. It's a Masters. It's also one of the bigger events of the red clay season. Then he pulled out of both of his home tournaments as well, the Barcelona Open as well as the Madrid Open, which raised further concerns, and recently he pulled out of the Rome Open as well. Now, the Rome Open, it's worth noting, is the last event proper that takes place before Roland Garros. So it's the last really ATP event that you can use to kind of tune up, get into some shape, get used to playing on clay. Nadal has been ruled out of all these tournaments, and what's worse is that without playing Rome, even if he were to be fit to play Roland Garros, well, we don't know what version of Nadal you would get. And truth be told, considering the fact that even Novak has been dealing with injuries in recent times, we know Roger Federer retired, towards the later parts of last year. Roland Garros really does need a Nadal in there just in terms of his sheer star power, if nothing else, and for the fact that they could actually market it around someone. In fact, his old nemesis Federer himself has said that Nadal not being there would not be a good thing. This is what he said. He's saying it would be brutal, to be honest. It would be tough for tennis if Rafa isn't going to be there. I still hope so that he plays in France. I saw that he pulled out of Rome, so I wish him the best. That's the thing. Even Federer doesn't seem overly optimistic that we will be seeing Nadal because, as you said, he's, I still hope that he's going to be there, but he pulled out of Rome. So again, that doesn't paint a very optimistic outlook, really, when you're looking at how it is that, the injury is going to heal. Is it going to miraculously heal enough for him to take to Roland Garros without even one little bit of match practice? Seems very doubtful, and that's the thing. The sad reality is that you could very well be getting a message from Nadal on his social soon saying that he won't be able to make Roland Garros, and truth be told, it would feel like the end of an era in many ways because many have been contemplating about just how much tennis is left in Rafa's body. Yes, he's been struggling with injuries. Last year also, despite the fact that he was winning Grand Slams, his body was quite clearly being pushed well above and over the limit. He was taking painkillers in his foot to actually play on a regular basis, and it didn't really paint the picture of an athlete who was at his healthiest. And we know Father Time truly does wait for no one, but what does tend to happen is that some athletes tend to change their game around a bit. Nadal has lost some of his physicality, but still remains a clever, fine player who has the ability to dig deep. However, it does seem like his body is going to start slowly but surely giving up on him, and that would be a crying shame that an athlete doesn't get to choose exactly when he gets to go out on his own terms. But has happened before. We hope it doesn't happen again. What do you guys think? Do you think Nadal's now reaching that point of his career where it's going to start drawing to a close? Well, you can let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. For now, from my side, goodbye.